Hey, hi everybody. Welcome to week 12. This is second language over acquisition overview. Um, is L2 acquisition, right? And one of the things you'll see is that L1 and L2 acquisition, some of the theorists and theoretical frameworks are the same, like as far as the people that they refer to and their ideas. Um, you can go a lot deeper into the theoretical framework and question for something to be scientific it has to be falsifiable, like you can question the theories and look if they have a scientific basis, and a lot of them in linguistics are a little bit more art than science in a strict things, but a lot of things in science are a bit more art than science. We still admit it that much. Um, and there are all kinds of claims about, uh, arguments against different theorists, whatever. I mean, the main thing I think for all of us to do is just um, kind of learn a theoretical framework that helps us to understand how people learn language, their first language, how they acquire their first language, and um, how they learn/acquire the second language, because we'll be looking at theories of second language acquisitions acquisition, as well as like models that have been used, because you may have tried to learn second, third, fourth language in a class, and you found out that the way in which it was taught wasn't necessarily effective. So starting off, the CSLO, we've analyzed first and second language acquisition, course objectives, um, describe the affective factors associated with second language learners and first language interference. Now, I'm saying I don't say affective. I'm just trying to highlight the A there. I just say effective. It's a schwa, right? Go back to our IBA. And so this is like, okay, so um, a lot of this will have to do with Stephen Krashen and his theories of the natural approach to language acquisition that we'll cover this week and next week. But it's also just, looking what looking at like how things are not straightforward behaviorist type of like practice, 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 and you get a result that language doesn't necessarily operate that way. And if you want to teach, like the best teaching situations often include teaching situations where you're able to make, especially in language production, make students feel comfortable. You lower what they call the affective filter, and um, it helps to facilitate. We'll look at affective filters or factors later, but it does help to facilitate language acquisition. First language interference. Anytime you have a first language and you try to study a second language, there'll be interference. Your first language, whether it's it's easiest in like kind of phonetics, right, and our sound, right, our accents, right. If I have an American English language base, how I speak another language is going to be determined. Like I'll have regular problems in certain sounds in another language. Um, whether it's Spanish or Arabic, the two languages I have the most experience in trying to work on, I definitely have an American accent. In my Arabic, it's I have a good, I have good pronunciation. Um, but there still are regular problems that I make that all like American English speakers, like um, will make. Um, and some of them have to do with sounds. Some, grammar kind of things like, hey, does your adjective come before a noun usually or after a noun usually? Arabic, they usually come after, right? Just like in Spanish. And so, um, there's a lot of first language interference. And the thing with first language interference, it's really important for teaching because there's a lot of things that are predictable, right? Um, so it could be sound again. Um, if there's no sh necessarily in Spanish, they'll be pronounced a ch, right? So, you can work on that, right? Um, in increments, and you can also do things like have them work on tongue twisters, like she sells seashells by the seashore, which is hard because it'd be like cheese sells seashells, right? And then they have to work on it. I would do that for my Arabic speakers. There is no p. There's no p in Arabic. There's a b, right? So they say Pepsi, they say Bepsi. And so I would do ones like Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, how many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? Which was Peter Piper picked. It is fun in a class. And that's just playing. I mean, obviously, you want to be sensitive to those things, help people work through them, and there's a whole bunch of them. So, first language definitely interferes with the second, because we're kind of programmed or conditioned in a certain way. Um, anyway, now demonstrating ESL teaching methods to design learning activities. That is well beyond. I'm working to probably change the course objectives and some of this stuff because you know I was a linguistics major, and um, and I was an English major too. I switched to linguistics when I figured out that they didn't teach you how to speak, how to teach English to other people to foreign students or second language students in the English program. So I wanted to go overseas and teach, so I switched to linguistics. And you had to take a lot of classes before you're doing actual classes that taught you how to teach things. And there was also like practicums involved, and that's all you did in that class. And so in a survey class, like this is, you go over things, but I need to write. I'm going to show you some examples, um, and they'll talk about things, but I am not going to require that of you because um, that is not what is done in an introductory linguistic class. That is for a specialized class in teaching English as a second language. Um, okay, so here's the module link. There aren't that many. They're just 3 lessons, really. I'm going to put in the questions for this video after, and that'll make 4. Before I start all the rest, okay, I have a couple of videos here. One is the TED. Now, John McWhorter, he was a UC Berkeley professor. I'm not sure where he is now. If you're on Audible, really quick, um, uh, yeah. So actually, I have all of these. Okay, so the great courses, linguistics, the story of human language. He has that myth, lies, and half truths of language usage. This is not his, but the history of the English language, language A to Z, writing and civilization, language and society. Those are other ones in great courses. Okay, building a world. Yeah, American English in America, linguistics history. That's awesome. I really love that one. These are all audible, and they come with like a little uh they come with a little pamphlet too. Um, this one, yeah, this is the one. Okay, the story of human languages. I believe this is the one that talks about language families and all this other stuff. It's pretty amazing. It's just like the history of languages in the history of the world. Um, I may have left that in. Um, well, you see the page, and I have to finish this page. Let me see something really quick. I did upload it before to the pamphlet. If you ever want to look at that, I have like all these old announcements. Um, Review and most widely spoken language in the world. British versus American English, why is English so damn weird, etymology and surprise origin of words, systemic racism, the new Merriam-Webster a few years ago, some old poetry I published. Oh, I think I took it out. Put it back up. But basically, I uploaded before, and then I kind of felt like, I don't know if I should be handing it out to everybody, but I kind of felt like I should because, like, well, I just want everybody to learn. But there's like a 200-page um, book accompanying that audiobook. Oh, I don't have it uploaded. So I used to have it uploaded so you could just have it for free. But it's really cool. If you're interested in world languages and the history of language, the story of human language. That being said, John McWhorter is he's kind of a weird, like I don't agree with a lot of his takes on race and politics and stuff like that. But as a linguist, he's awesome. But he has some other stuff when it comes to Black issues where he's really against all the Black thinkers that I thought, and has had debates with some of them too. So he's very weirdly he's like a weirdly conservative in certain areas kind of dude, but in general kind of liberal like most linguists. So I don't know. And I'm not talking about in a well, whatever. He's a scholar where it matters. With linguists, I mean, stuff is theoretical. And anyway, this is really a cool video, so I'm going to stop talking about it. So, 4 reasons to learn a new language, and he's these 4 reasons, and this is
stop asking research questions to ChatGPT.
Yeah, hopefully you guys don't speak Arabic and know what I just said. Okay. But yeah, I wanted to listen to the beginning of this at least.
The language I'm speaking right now is on its way to becoming the world's universal language, for better or for worse. Let's face it, it's the language of the internet, it's the language of finance, it's the language of air traffic control, of popular music, diplomacy. English is everywhere. Now, Mandarin Chinese is spoken by more people, but more Chinese people are learning English than English speakers are learning Chinese. Last I heard, there are 24 universities in China right now teaching all in English. English is taking over. And in addition to that, it's been predicted that at the end of the century, almost all of the languages that exist now, there are about 6,000, will no longer be spoken. There will only be some hundreds left. And on top of that, it's at the point where instant translation of live speech is not only possible, but it gets better every year. The reason I'm reciting those things to you is because I can tell that we're getting to the point where a question is going to start being asked, which is, why should we learn foreign languages other than if English happens to be foreign to one? Why bother to learn another one when it's getting to the point where almost everybody in the world will be able to communicate in one? I think there are a lot of reasons, but I first want to address the one that you're probably most likely to have heard of, because actually it's more dangerous than you might think. And that is the idea that a language channels your thoughts, that the vocabulary and the grammar of different languages gives everybody a different kind of acid trip, so to speak. That is a marvelously enticing idea, but it's kind of fraught. So it's not that it's untrue completely. So for example, in French and Spanish, the word for table is for some reason marked as feminine. So la table, la mesa, you just have to deal with it. It has been shown that if you are a speaker of one of those languages and you happen to be asked how you would imagine a table talking, then much more often than could possibly be an accident, a French or a Spanish speaker says that the table would talk with a high and feminine voice. So if you're French or Spanish, to you a table is kind of a girl, as opposed to if you are an English speaker. It's hard not to love data like that, and many people will tell you that that means that there's a world view that you have if you speak one of those languages. But you have to watch out because imagine.
So, in previewing, when we had Lera Boroditsky's How Language Shapes the Way We Think, right? Um, I did mention that in the strongest formation, that's what they call like linguistic determinism, that language shapes thought. And here, I said that I don't totally agree with that. I think there's aspects to it, and some of them are really interesting aspects, especially when they're tied into indigenous people and places where they're really grounded in, right? Where there's descriptions of their environment that were essential for living that were developed, over thousands of years and do uh, do have wisdom in them, right? That shows that kind of thing. So I just wanted to make sure that I kind of mentioned this and what he's in. I'm just put a little bit more, but he's basically talking. He kind of. I mean, nobody knows what's happening in the future. Nobody knows how much English will continue to be one of the predominant languages in the world relative to the first language much beyond the first language English speaker population. Um, and I surely don't want you to think that, well, everybody's learning English, so I shouldn't learn anything else. This is really talking about why being multilingual is good, more important. And then the TED Ed talk after this TED talk talks about, the, the the benefits to your actual brain, neuroplasticity, and all kinds of other things.
If somebody put us under the microscope, the us being those of us who speak English natively, what is the world view from English? So, for example, let's take an English speaker. Up on the screen, that is Bono. He speaks English. I presume he has a world view. Now, that is Donald Trump. In his way, he speaks English as well.
Third grade level.
And here is Ms. Kardashian, and she is an English speaker too. So here are three speakers of the English language. What worldview do those three people have in common? What worldview is shaped through the English language that unites them? It's a highly fraught concept. And so gradual consensus is becoming that language can shape thought, but it tends to be in rather darling, obscure psychological flutter.
I mean, just the fact that all of them are pure capitalists that sold themselves out a long time ago, and the other ones are, I don't even know if there's a question of selling out. They've always been sold out. You know, uh, yeah. But so I don't think that's really the approach to look at that. Like, it's a kind of slanted argument that he's making right there. But generally,
it's not a matter of giving you a different pair of glasses.
I mean, looking at like, modern or postmodern celebrity figures are not going to give you the wisdom of a language, or they will kind of give you some kind of, I mean, I disagree with them on this. And that's what I'm saying with McWhorter. I mean, that's a shallow take. But he gives you a whole bunch of good. Sorry, I'm showing somebody's work, but good reasons, right? For the society in general, language preservation. What we're going to last unit we're going to do is endangered languages and the connection to really genocide and things like that. And the second one is just the benefits of a bilingual brain. So before I go into before we go into I just wanted to mention that before I go into all the second language acquisition questions in writing. They didn't, strangely enough, in essential linguistics, it's why I don't use it as just the one book for the class, because they don't have a real chapter on first and second language acquisition. They do have stuff on first language acquisition primarily. And that first language acquisition stuff is tied to neuro and psycholinguistics. And so here, I give you kind of a selection of stuff from her book, from Catherine Anderson's book, and they get a little technical, at certain parts when they're talking about. Well, they do give a good idea of positive and negative transfer. Positive where your L1 helps you in your L2, and negative when your L1 it makes it harder to learn L2 for different reasons. Um, and then she gets a little bit like measuring things and with technology and stuff like that, which really is again beyond the spectrum of this class. But they have three questions on and you can check yourself, right? Negative and positive transfer, just kind of reinforcing that idea, which is important. And just going back to that book as a reference, it's a good book. Okay, so this language learner. So this is a bit of work, but it's a really great breakdown, really great breakdown. Yes, and breakdown of you know understanding ELL learners, ESL, ELD. It always changes. It's a really good overview. These short videos. All I want you to do, the introduction, is, it's helping you think about your learners. And if you're going to teach EL learners, and you are, if you teach in Central Valley, most likely, you want to have as much sensitivity to where they're coming from and what their challenges are and how to, make things easier on them as you can. So you're going to watch the videos, and there are little notes to a glossary on the side. And then when you get to, the review and reflect is all I'm really kind of asking you, right? And you can check the answers. Oh, so if I put true, 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 do they answer? Okay, so that's false. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, of course, and they give you good answers. Oh, cool. Okay, so just go through those. And sorry. So, introduction, lessons 1 through 4, conclusion. And there is an end part where they kind of, at the conclusion, there are, I thought oh yeah, this review and reflect. Wait, where was the review and reflect? I thought they had a question at the end, which was kind of like an essay, but short, just to make you think. Yeah, I guess they didn't have an inclusion. Why do you think that language learners and language teachers often have different perceptions about what's going on in the language classroom? Just kind of think you like help you to. It is important if you communicate with your students about those kind of things, or try to put yourself in their place and get feedback from them all the time about like, hey, how does it feel? What are you learning? What helps you learn? All those kind of things, and getting to know the students. Anyway, so you know, just copy the um copy all the questions with their correct answer, and at the conclusion they have a reflect question and answer it in a couple sentences. Okay, so this video, second language acquisition theories, you may see that it's very similar to first language acquisition theories. Nope, that's Tyler Childers, who I like his music. Okay, but that is not what we're doing today. I had it open. This may look a little similar to
Asking research questions to ChatGPT.
yeah. I'm going to stop doing that to ChatGPT. But my question was,
Its answers are not reliable.
Hello, so today we're going to start looking at second language acquisition theories. And we're not going to make it too
So yeah,
technical. The
behaviorism,
idea really is just to have
constructivism,
a general
humanism,
overview.
social, cultural
Lots of
perspectives,
teachers have
and
a lot of knowledge about second language
in the
acquisition
end,
theories, and some teachers maybe don't have very much explicit knowledge, but there are things that they intuitively feel. And
this is a good breakdown. At the end, it does have a whole. I mean, you can do this if you want, but I'm not requiring it of you. I just want you to have some notes, like who are the people behind the theories and what are the theories. But they do actually give you samples, and they want you to at the end where they want you to match it with the theory. You don't have to do that. If you're interested in that, go ahead. Natural approach to crashing. This is almost like a satire of a video. I mean, sorry, like some parts of it are like comprehension. It's some of it's pretty corny, but it does give you. It's a good breakdown, and it's not too long. And we're gonna go back to crashing, and crashing is. I don't know. I have friends who met him and stuff, and he said whatever. I won't. But uh, yeah, his theories are good. I mean, they're practical. And we're gonna pick them up next week. And I'm gonna give you a long video, which shows you how to acquire a language. A guy's acquiring a seventh language, and using the natural acquisition kind of model, natural learning model. That's okay. Well, it's acquisition. And the writing assignment is like, hey, 3 to 5 paragraphs. Really, 3 is good, but reflecting on your academic and experiential knowledge of second language acquisition. If you're a learner or you're a parent, caregiver, and your kids or the kids you take care of, you've seen them go to learn a second or third language, or if you teach, right? And you may also write on the political aspects of the communities you're a part of, or work with teachers or future teachers. So that's the work for this week. L2 acquisition. Oh, and there's one more assignment. What was it? Is there? No, I went over all 3. Okay, so I will see you with a new update for the new one next week, and hopefully it will not be as long, and I really apologize. Hopefully you can put it on like double speed and go through it, and you still get the stuff.